Hello, my name is Alfredo Salmon Mujage from Lukaya, Tanzania. Welcome in this session of History Form 1 to proceed with the third topic, which is the economic activities and their impacts. So on the last session we ended on looking the pottery. So now we are going to look on the other handicrafty industry, which is weaving and basketry. It means that weaving and basketry industry was another handicraft industry which was taking place in Africa. Before the coming of colonialists. Some people were skilled in making various items by weaving. It means that some people in pre-colonial African societies were skilled in making various items by weaving. And the required raw materials included grasses, leaves, and fibers. In East Africa, the Luo were experts in basketry, and the Nyakyusa were experts in making mats. It means that in East Africa, the Luo were experts in basketry, and the Nyakyusa were experts in making mats. So you can see that those societies were experts in weaving and the basketry industry. Let us see advantages of weaving and basketry, or the uses of the advantages of weaving and basketry. What was the importance of these activities? The first one, some communities built houses and boats. It means that some of the communities used they used the skills of basketry and weaving to build houses and boats by using the raw materials which were used in weaving and basketry. Also supplied communities with items such as beds and mats. It means that the communities which were expertise in making the mats and the beds supplied those items in the society which had no such items. And the third one is the advantage of weaving and basketry provided items for trade. It means that those societies which were producing those basketry and weaving items were provided the items for trading activities, whereby the society exchanged with those items in return of other items like cattle, iron tools, and others. And the first one provided containers to carry loads easily. For example, Kikuyu and Kamba means Kenyans. It means that the societies which were producing those basketry and weaving items provided containers to carry loads easily. For example, the Kikuyu and the Kamba were the societies which were benefited from that. The activities resulted in weaving and basketry. Also, the fifth one, the woven fish troops and the nets. It means that woven fish troops and nets. It means that these were fishing instruments which were woven and made by the societies which had the skills of making those items that would be used in fishing activities. So fish troops and nets were woven and were made by those societies. So that was another advantage. It means that items or instruments for fishing was enabled them to capture or to extract aquatic materials or aquatic resources like fish and other aquatic resources in the water bodies. And the last one provided storage for agricultural produce or products. It means that weaving and basketry activities provided the storage for agricultural products like grains. To mean that the grains were stored in those items which were made from the weaving and basketry activities. So that was all about weaving and basketry industry. Another was textile production or cloth making industry. Textile production or cloth making industry. Textile production was the making of clothes or the making of clothes from different materials or raw materials. It means that the textile industry is the making of clothes from different raw materials. And backcloth was made from tree barks among the Nyakyusa, Buhaya, and the Buganda. It means that the backcloth or the backclothes was made or were made from tree barks. It means that the barks of the trees were embarked from the tree and used as raw materials to make clothes. And the societies which were skillful and knowledgeable about that were included in Nyakyusa, Buhaya, and the Buganda. And silk production was mainly in Nigeria and Madagascar. And those all the silk and the tree and availability of there was no extra land to move to availability of rainfall, also irrigation, terracing and fertilizers. So that's why they say to have the permanent crop cultivation, because there are no these things which I've mentioned. Examples of these areas where permanent cultivation was carried out include the following. To mean that the areas whereby permanent crop cultivation was take place include Egypt, Cambrai region in the northeastern Togo, among the Chagas on the slopes of Mountain Kilimanjaro, the Loess of Zambia, the Akamba of Kenya, slopes of Mountain Meru, southern island of Tanzania, and the central Kenyan islands. And these all were areas where permanent cultivation was taking place in pre-colonial African societies. And the last one was Indian Ocean coastline, northwest of Lake Victoria. These all have mentioned 1 up to 7. These were areas where permanent cultivation were taking place. So let us see the mixed farming. The mixed farming, this was kind of agriculture which includes crop cultivation and animal keeping. To mean that this was including the cultivation of crops and the animal keeping on the same time. That was called the mixed farming, mainly in grassland areas with seasonal rainfall. It means that it was taking place in areas mainly with seasonal rainfall. And the grassland areas were good for growing crops and the pastures for animals. It means that the grassland areas were good for growing crops and the pastures for animals. The crops grown was such as the sorghum, maize, cassava, beans and millet. These were crops which were grown under the permanent, mixed farming or mixed cultivation. And the animals which were kept in mixed farming were goats, dung, cattle, horse, sheep, and etc. So this kind of agriculture was common among the Waha, Nyamwezi, Fipa, Hehe, Kikuyu, etc. It means that the mixed farming was taking place in areas like Waha, Nyamwezi, Fipa, Hehe, and the Kikuyu in Kenya. So these were areas where mixed farming was taking place during the pre-colonial African societies. Another part is pastoralism, which is, as I've told you, that agriculture was categorized into 3 types. The first one was the mixed farming, and the second one was pastoralism, and the last one was crop cultivation. The pastoralism is the practice of keeping livestock such as cattle, sheep, camels, and goats. It means that pastoralism is a practice of keeping livestock such as cattle, sheep, camels, and goats. One important factor in the spread of pastoralism in Africa was the presence or absence of the tsetse fly. It means that one important factor in the spread of pastoralism in Africa was the presence or absence of tsetse fly. It means that the place where at tsetse fly there were no pastoralism, while where there was the tsetse fly there were I mean where there was tise fry, there were no pastoralism, and where there were pastoralism, tise fry were not there. These flies cause the sleeping sickness to human and the hypersonomiasis to domestic animals, and the pastoralists avoided tise fly infected areas, especially in the moist low-lying valleys and the thick forest regions. Examples of the pastoralists in Africa include the Fulani of West Africa, the Gaua and Somali of Northeast Africa, Mahasai of East Africa, they are just in Tanzania and Kenya, also Balabai and Kalamajong of East Africa. These also were the pastoralist society in pre-colonial Africa. Let us see the two types of pastoralism. There was nomadic pastoralism and sedentary pastoralism. This is the types of pastoralism. The first one is nomadic pastoralism, as we saw, the seasonal movement of people with their cattle or livestock in search of water and the pasture. It means that nomadic pastoralism, this was the system or the seasonal movement of people with their cattle from one place to another for searching pasture and water. And many nomadic pastoralists lived on depending on meat, milk, and the blood. It means the pastoralist societies were highly depending on feeding or eating the meat, fresh meat, milk, and blood. They occupy the scrubland and the savanna regions. It means that those societies which were pastoralist or nomadic pastoralist societies were occupying the scrubland and the savanna regions. And those areas get little rain, which means those areas we are getting little rain. Examples of nomadic pastoralists include Tolnes, the Fulani, the Balberg, the Omomo, the Kalamajong, and the Maasai. These are the examples of the nomadic pastoralists. And the second type of pastoralism is sedentary pastoralism. Sedentary means staying or living in the same area, means having the permanent settlement. Sedentary pastoralists did not move from place to place. Example, the agriculturists, Maasai, Kwavi. The animals kept by such communities are fewer than those kept by the nomadic pastoralists. So you can see that Kwavi, the society of Maasai agriculturists, were settling in permanent settlement, and they had fewer animals than the nomadic pastoralists. So let us see how agriculture changed man's life. What were the effects of agriculture, or how agriculture changed man's life? So we are proceeding with how agriculture changed man's life. The first thing, how agriculture changed man's life, or the effect of agriculture to man's life, is it led to the production of more food in these societies. To mean that agriculture increased the production of more food in the societies. Also, agriculture forced the people to settle down in one place. It means that agriculture contributed to the establishment of permanent settlement. Also, it encouraged the social and political organizations. It means that agriculture encouraged the social and political organizations like formation of states, kingdoms, and the empires. Also, it led to the expansion of exchange trade due to surplus. It means that the surplus was produced at the expansion of exchange trade was emerged. And the fifth one, it encouraged the specialization of work in the societies or in the society. For example, people began to practice medicine priestly duties and the different crafts. It means that agriculture led to the encouragement of specialization of work in the society. Says some people were based on medicine, others priestly duties were made, also other different crafts were done. Also, some people become wealthier than the other in the society due to the presence of more rent and the animals. It means that some people become wealthier than the others in the society because of having the network of rent and the large number of animals. Another one, the agriculturists were forced to come up with the new religions that could save their animals or livestock. For example, new gods. It means that the agriculturists were forced to come with the new religions that they could save their animals or livestock. So they come up with new believings, like having many gods, having the many gods. And the last one is agriculture led to the introduction of science and technology. To mean that agriculture led to the introduction of science and technology. For example, in Egypt, there was need for irrigation. It means that the agriculture led to the introduction of science and technology, as the Egyptians were using the irrigation schemes during the dry season. So that's where the effects of agriculture to man's life, or how agriculture changed the man's life. So up to there, I would like to wind up our session, and I would like to leave the exercise, which comprises 3 questions. And the first one is, mention areas practiced pastoralism in pre-colonial East Africa. In pre-colonial East Africa. And the second one, list down 4 handicrafts industries existed in pre-colonial Africa. The third one is, define the following terms as used in history. The first one is pastoralism. Second is mixed farming. Third is sedentary pastoralism, and the last one is agriculture. So until there, I would like to thank you for being with me from the beginning to the end. I would like to congratulate you, and I wish you to have nice studies, and welcome in the coming classes for more learning from Educare Tanzania. I wish you all the best in following our channels in different websites. So welcome to learning in Educare for the best choice. Have a good time.